Hey everybody, it's
Days on day games.
welcome back to the 11th episode of the Scout Only Australian Hunt. This week I'm cranking the difficulty way up. Every time I die, I'm going to lose all my upgrades. No resistances, no safety net, no mercy. All the usual rules will still apply, but now every death will send me straight back to square one. This challenge doesn't hurt the team too much since the Scout's damage is usually supplementary, but in weaker lobbies, Scout can absolutely make or break a mission, so I figured this would be a fun way to push myself without absolutely sabotaging, a lobby. I'm already skipping out on resistances, so the real punishment here when I die is losing my damage, and as you know, my damage upgrades are usually what's going to keep me alive, so this challenge becomes a slippery slope quickly. The weaker I get, the easier it is to die again. We're starting off here on Desperation. I've tailored my loadout to a more traditionally supportive role Scout is widely known for by including the Mad Milk over the Criticola that I've been using in the past few videos. I will still be trying to max out my damage, but I'll have to choose my fights more carefully with this rule set in mind, so now Milk must be included to support the team when I can't do so with my damage. And it'll also help keep me alive if I lose overheal and start to take some heavy damage. And I definitely don't want to be dealing with mini crits in a challenge where I really don't want to lose my life and therefore my progress. Speaking of lost, last week I'd asked you what's the TF2 item you regret selling or trading away most. My favorite answer was from Nomad MK7301 or Mark7301, whatever it is. It says, I regret selling my collector's winger the most, as I actually found the chemistry set for it back in the day and made it from scratch. A Greek tragedy, that story. It really sucks to think of putting a lot of effort into crafting such a cool item, and you had to trade it away for whatever reason, but it's better to have loved and lost. This week's question of the day, though, is if you had to remove one MVM upgrade forever, which one would it be? I think I speak for many avid MVM players when I say it'd probably be the Explode on Ignite upgrade for the Gas Passer. But maybe you're a fan of that weapon, maybe you like it, maybe you like that playstyle. Which upgrade would you remove? I know none of them are ideal, but say play with thought with me. Like which one would you remove? And I'll pick my favorite answer for next week. Another thing you might notice is my choice of primary, the stock scattergun. I originally thought a reliable, low investment weapon like the scattergun would help in this challenge where I might potentially be constantly losing upgrades. But after actually playing with the rule set, that idea kind of fell apart quickly. The scattergun is very expensive to upgrade, so I can't ramp it up after I've died, and it has no MVM specific utility, such as the soda popper with its jumps or the shortstop shove is, unimpactful that usually is. But it still is a utility, and if I'm going to be running a mostly unupgraded weapon, it probably needs to offer something beyond raw damage. Getting into the gameplay now, we're here on Wave 3, already investing a scary amount of credits into our scattergun. With each wave that passes, the failure will be more pronounced, but this wave, however, is not an extremely threatening one, since there aren't many large groups of high damaging robots that I have to worry about. Just many steel gauntlets and some soldiers married to medics here that I can let the team deal with for the most part, as well as some pyros and snipers as support bots. The snipers are quite scary for me as they seem to charge up their scope very quickly compared to the normal game, and they don't miss extremely often. But I think we do have a sniper playing with us this mission, and we have a high Tor pyro player helping to soak up a lot of the aggro and dealing a lot of damage. All of the missions of this tour, in fact, had another strong player in them, which made the entirety of this challenge much more bearable than it would have been with a lesser skilled team. I would say that I'd revisit this challenge again in the future to maybe test out how poorly a lower tier lobby would fare, but probably not. I gotta keep the content fresh. Perhaps it'd be worth doing again when I finally do get a drop on this scout only challenge and I begin my next series playing more impactful classes like soldier or heavy or something, seeing how that goes. Collecting as much money as I can from the front before the rest of our team tries to get it, denying me the overhealth from the tank as well. Don't want the team getting all that delicious money and stealing the health from me. Milking the crit giant there. Normally this is not something that I feel like is worth doing because crits just tend to kill your teammates instead of dealing damage to them, but there's a chance that our heavies have invested into blast and crit resistance and they're able to survive a couple crockets to the face, so I'll milk them anyway because there's really nothing better for me to do. Gonna try and get some damage in on these giants before getting onto the tank. Team kills them pretty quickly. Now all we have left to kill is the tank, and we finish off wave 4 with another A+. Doing pretty good with the money so far. We'll see if we can keep that up for the rest of the mission. I will probably be losing money to try and save myself a death if it's not too much money. But I doubt there's an amount of money that is worth losing all my upgrades for, so I guess the team will have to suffer a bit for me to keep up with it. Wave 5 here, our pyro player has swapped to spy. This wave and wave 6 on Cataclysm are best case scenarios for spy. Spy suffers from similar problems that pyro suffers from, and that whatever he does well, there's usually another class who can do it almost just as good or just as good, and they can do a whole host of other things as well. So he's a tough class to make work in MBM, especially considering robots can get a hard-on for spies backstabbing them extremely quickly, but good spies are still fun to play with, and he's an interesting class to work around. Hopefully in the MBM update, if that ever does come out, he can get a little love, give him some extra utility like a money magnet or even health from picking up money even if he doesn't get a magnet, similar to the scout. Just anything to help the poor guy because he is really a one-trick pony in that he can kill mid-sized robots or giants pretty quickly, not extremely quickly, but he can't mob anything. He can't stay alive very well, and he gets aggroed super quickly. But he does his job, and we pass wave 5. As you can see, we're on wave 6, and I invest even more money into the scatter gun. I could try and save my money and not put all of my credits into my primary, but that's kind of playing to lose, and at this point I've got a pretty good rhythm going of, you know, milking giants, marking them, getting into the field of battle when it's safe, and then getting out of it before they do anything to me, trying to do some damage to these robots from up high, which is a suboptimal range for Scout to be operating at, but usually I can break line of sight with them with the high ground, or, you know, dodge some projectiles if I don't get in there and die like I just did, suffering my first death. And it was at this point that I realized that I cannot refund upgrades mid-wave, which is something that I probably already knew but just forgotten because it's something I really never think to do even. I don't refund in MBM very often at all, especially not mid-wave. It's just never occurred to me to do so. When I came up with this challenge, I didn't even think of it. But later on, I figure out that I can switch primaries and effectively refund my upgrades mid-wave, and also kind of lock myself out of primaries that I have invested money into, and it keeps what money I can spend easier to keep track of. Doing some good dodging there of the projectiles. It's too bad that there is nobody really close to me to take advantage of the aggro I was taking, but if there were, that would be a good example of how Scout can let your teammates get some free damage in just by taking the robot's attention, and you're able to pretty easily dodge the damage that is incoming, especially if you're not right up in their faces. But we lose 160 credits that way because of my deaths and the team getting so pushed so far back. If your teammates die, like 1 or 2 teammates die pretty early on, it's a good idea for you to just stop killing stuff and run back, you know, regroup with the rest of your team, so you'll bleed a lot less credits that way by not contributing to a money pool that nobody's going to really pick up unless the Scout buys Uber canteens or uses bonk. And of course I'm choosing not to use Uber canteens, and I wasn't quick-witted enough to equip the bonk middle of the wave, dying again there as well. Figuring out that I can swap primaries, and probably swapping to a better primary than the scattergun. Not probably, it's definitely better, but especially better for me because I can get you some utility out of it using the hype to regain some of the mobility that I have lost here on the last wave. Not investing any money into the soda popper though, because again, I refunded all my money from the scatter gun, and it's difficult for me to keep track of what I can and cannot spend. And with this future, not really future, but you know, when I figure out that I can swap primaries and I just leave all the money that I have spent into it, it's really easy for me to just go like, oh, I have this much money I can spend. I can walk back to spawn, put some money into my primary as I get it. But we're on the last wave anyway, so I don't really need to worry about that. Giant scouts streaming in now. I'm going to want to mark them very quickly, because if they get past the team, then I'm probably not going to be able to kill them the way I normally would, unless the team has dealt a significant portion of their health. It's nice that my loadout choice has allowed me to maintain the bulk of the utility that Scout offers in MVM, which is, you know, just normal Scout gameplay for most people. This is the most roundabout way of me doing some normal Scout gameplay, but it feels bad for me because I've become accustomed to doing a lot of damage, and it feels bad to not do a lot of damage. But we have the tank here, the last enemy of the wave. We of course kill him very quickly, finish off the mission. The screen flashes victory. Let's check out everybody's drops. Lots of tour completions, but nothing really noteworthy being dropped. So doing 25,000 damage, really poor for me, but you know, it is what it is. Next up on the docket though, we have Cataclysm, where before the first wave begins, we lose a teammate, causing us to perform most of the mission a man down with 2 ends. Isn't that funny, guys? This could spell trouble for me though, because that's one less person who can potentially take the fall for me, you know, take some aggression from a stupid mistake that I make or something like that. So I'll need to be extra careful, but first wave here isn't all that bad. We have a sniper, and he's going to take care of the medics that are attached to the steel gauntlet heavies, and I'm going to leverage my superior range against them and deal lots of damage, helping out our distant team. A lot of low tour teams tend to give the robots a lot of room to approach. This is usually a mistake. Damage ramp up depends on your distance to the target, and the lower your distance, the higher your damage output will be, generally, you know, sniper notwithstanding. Additionally, if your team does die, you will die earlier, which means you can, when you do respawn, you'll be closer to the front rather than all the way back at the hatch, because you stood so far back, allowing the robots to get so much room. This team though does not know and practice that, so it'll be on me to soften up as many targets as possible while attempting to keep them healthy from big threats with the milk. I'm employing what I've learned from the first mission and starting right off the bat with the soda popper, making this challenge a pretty close mirror to normal gameplay. So this is a pretty good learning experience for me, and as well as a test to see if I can identify clearly what normally kills me in gameplay and see if that I can avoid it. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job so far, you know. A couple of the deaths were a bit foolish in the last mission, but this mission ends up going pretty well. At the conclusion of the first wave, I dump some more money into the soda popper, and we start off here on wave 2, killing the first giant scout rather quickly, and fortunately the giant heavy picks up the bomb instead of one of the scouts. But our team dies, so I'm going to need to be careful and try to do as much damage to these scouts as I can before the team kills the heavy, because we don't want the heavy dying and the scouts being healthy and them dropping off the bomb rather quickly. It seems like the rest of the team has gotten, you know, the gist of that though, and they're also trying to kill the scouts before the heavy, and there are just 2 scouts remaining, with the heavy getting somewhat close to the hatch. We kill the heavy right as he gets to the porch there, and then we kill the last 2 scouts here rather quickly. Here he comes dropping to get the bomb. Bam, take care of him long before he gets to drop off the bomb. And now we know the rest of the wave is pretty easy from here on out, as long as the engineer keeps a sentry on the bomb and any of these little scouts make it all the way to the end there. But I think the team is doing a pretty good job of locking the area down. not letting any of the little scouts get far. Gonna run up and mark this heavy. Run away quickly though because I'm a little coward. After all those big threats, we have a bit of a rough go actually securing the finish of the wave, but the team is a man down and they've suffered a lot of deaths to this point, so I can't really say that I blame them, but we eventually do finish off the last of the threats. The scouts really wanting to drop off the bomb here. We finish it though, and wave 3 brings a tank for us to take care of. So I'm going to swap to the Criticola. I figure that taking care of the tank is as quickly as possible is more important than providing milk to the teammates, and most of the threats here are very slow and they're not going to be able to drop off the bomb before the team is able to actually kill them. So I figured that I can let the team sustain a few deaths, and they don't seem to be doing a great job at actually leveraging the health that the milk can provide, so I doubt we're missing out on much. I'm going to take care of the soldier stampede here as the heavies begin to drop down. Nobody else can really catch up to them very quickly, so it'll be up to me, and I can dodge a significant portion of the damage as well as get lots of random crits to help kill the bots. Take care of the last of them though, and the team is nowhere to be seen taking care of this heavy. They want to take care of the back one first, which is fine as long as they take care of any of them, and then we can rotate back up front to take care of the last one. The team's still not here though, it's just the pyro and myself. I'm going to be trying to use the Criticola on a non-tank enemy, nearly pay for it with my life. Our pyro buys back to try and take care of this close threat heavy, and he does. And I'm going to go and collect some help to try and help him defend this hatch. After I do get my health, the bomb is nearly dropped off several times. The heavy was a little far behind the last giant heavy, but I guess our heavy took care of him, so good on him, and he picked up the money. Double good on him.
Quickly find an upgrade station.
We got him.
Wave 4 here, fairly similar to the last one. Bunch of tanks, a couple giants. We're going to deal with all the tanks here in a pretty timely manner as they tend to come right after one another for the most part. Taking care of the first one. Working here on the second one. Still having the Criticola equipped because it is such a tank dense wave. Not quite as tank dense as wave 7, but still a lot of tank HP to get through, and the Criticola is going to help with that, and there's just not many even healthy threats for the team to take care of. There are only 2 giant heavies in addition to the tanks, and everything else the team should be able to survive pretty efficiently. We're working on the last tank here. Bang, take care of him. The giant heavies begin to walk out, and one or both of our pyros have gas, so the medics that are attached to the heavies get taken care of pretty quickly. And what are you eating, man? That smells good, man. Can I have some of that? You want to share some of your food with the tuber that you might be eating to? That's kind of my goal. That's my goal. I want to be a tuber that people have dinner to or something like that, or lunch or whatever it is. Maybe internationally they can have breakfast in my videos, but you know, let's switch gears for a moment. I'm going to try and keep this wave under control, but I want to change topics because normally I'm pretty focused on narrating the gameplay, talking through every wave, every bot, and I think that can get a little bit dull for you to listen to, and it's a little bit dull for me to write as well. It's hard for me to just fill all this time because I want to get a whole mission into these videos, because making a series mission by mission where, you know, there's no payoff for the majority of the videos seems pretty boring. So a whole tour really only makes sense, but a whole tour also has to be pretty long too, unless I want to cut out pretty much everything that might be interesting footage wise from the video. So you know what, I'm just gonna riff and talk for a bit. Maybe I'll talk about my actual journey with MVM, kind of how I got here, how I ended up doing a scout-only Australian hunt, what I've learned, what I've disliked, what I've loved, and how this challenge kind of ties into all that. The gameplay's still going to be happening, obviously. I'm still going to be dodging rockets, still going to be milking giants, still trying not to die and lose all my upgrades, but I kind of want to use the remainder of this mission to reflect a bit, because this challenge really forces me to think about how I play and kind of why I play as well. I first started playing MVM right when it came out. I've been playing TF2 since 2011, and I didn't have a job at the time. I was, just a kid for the most part. So I couldn't really afford to play MVM a whole lot when it first came out. I played boot camp like a whole lot of other people. But I didn't really get into MVM a lot until around 2016. Started playing with my friend who had a couple hundred tours under his belt, and I was just a repeater at that point. I'd have one ticket, and I'd leave all the missions before they got completed, with a couple of mess ups. Sometimes I didn't leave quite in time, and I'd end up spending the ticket. So I got a couple tours by accident within my play count, but I had a lot more experience than my play count, or than my tour count would initially let on. But it also helps that I had a high tour player teaching me a lot of basic tips. In retrospect, a lot of his advice is actually pretty poor, but I don't know if that's just because it was a product of his time, or he was just taught a certain way and that's how he thought the game should be played. He's the one who taught me the more idle scout type of gameplay. So early on too, I didn't play a whole lot of scout because I thought it was boring. It definitely is one of the more boring classes in MVM to play if you aren't trying to do a lot of damage in between all of your money collection and stuff. That's a pretty low or high bar. Not really sure how I'd want to phrase that, but everything is fun in MVM to me. But Scout probably the least fun if you're playing it like I was taught to play it. So that kind of leads me to when I actually started grinding a lot of MVM. One day I kind of just decided I wanted to get an Australian because I had maybe 10 or 12 tours completed by the time, I stopped playing with this friend. And I just wanted to secure my drop. It's not like I didn't understand how probability worked, and that more tours doesn't ever mean you're going to get an Australian, but I thought the probability of me not getting one after all these tours is pretty low. So I ended up playing a lot of MVM around COVID especially, and I mean a lot. I was playing like 2 or 3 tours a day, sometimes 4 of Gear Grinder, just playing non-stop, trying to get the Australian. Eventually I worked my way up to 112 tours before I got my first drop. Mix of 2 cities and Gear Grinder mostly. So when I say that you shouldn't be playing MVM for Australians, I really mean it, because you just kind of get miserable after a while, saying like, man, I really want to drop. 112 tours is not the most that anybody's ever had to go through before getting a drop. There have been dry spells of 130 tours or more, which is quite a bit more gameplay than opening crates. It doesn't sound like a huge number in tour gaps, and it's really not, but that represents a lot of gameplay, a lot of potentially failed waves, a lot of searching for lobbies. And throughout that whole journey, I would say I didn't play a whole lot of scout because I just thought like, man, I want to play something more damage dealing. I want to play something more active like engineer, heavy, soldier, demo, anything like that. I was doing a lot of class swapping too, using a specific class for specific waves. So I was min-maxing. I was the type of person that I now look at and go like, man, that's not fun. But I was really just trying to complete missions as quickly as I could, trying to get a drop. And after I got my drop, I got a couple more soon after that one, which made me feel better about having waited so long for my first drop. But throughout this whole process, I found myself really loving MVM, really having a lot of fun playing it, learning a lot about it, learning how to beat waves very quickly, learning how to leverage certain strategies in certain classes. But throughout that whole time, I never played a whole lot of Scout. And at some point, I wanted to just kind of make videos. I really like playing MBM, and I really like long form type videos with lots of talking in them. The stuff I kind of fall asleep to or what have you. I just kind of wanted to emulate that, and MBM seemed like a good opportunity to do so. Not a lot of people make MBM content generally, certainly not live commentary or even scripted commentary like this, so felt like a neat little niche that I could just kind of fill in. And I ended up on picking Scout because throughout learning MBM through, the couple hundred tours that I've played, I knew of a strategy where you can play damage Scout, and it was something that I never really attempted to play. It's just seemed like a little bit advanced, and it does take a lot of MBM to be able to have a lot of things become second nature to you. Like, I mentioned in another episode that the high tour players play essentially a different game. They just know what's going to happen before it's going to happen. They have lots of waves memorized. They have lots of spots and strategies memorized, and they can do things very efficiently. And I kind of thought that Damage Scout was a part of that. And after having played it, it's not extremely difficult. It's a really fun play style too. But that's how I ended up on Scout for this challenge. And I figured that I could just keep playing Scout until I get an Australian weapon. And hopefully this series will not be 100 episodes long. I'm pretty sure I'll just end up abandoning it before then if the drop does take quite too long. But already in this 11th episode, I find myself struggling to comment on the same waves of the same missions over and over again. There are only so many Valve missions to take part in, and one of those are excluded from eligibility because they don't even drop Australians. So I need to find other stuff to talk about, and I figure I could start with how this whole journey started with a unique little challenge. But we're about to beat here Cataclysm as we finish off this last giant heavy. Not sustaining a single death throughout the whole mission, doing very good, checking out everybody's drops. One guy completing his tour, two guys completing their tour. Nothing real crazy. And here we are on the final mission, or the final tour of the mission, Manworks. I was pretty happy to get this as the last mission because it's probably the hardest mission, or hardest tour, hardest mission in the tour. I think I messed that up earlier. Lots of opportunities for me to die. Features one of the hardest waves in the entire lineup of Valve stock missions, Wave 3. Very difficult. So we'll see if we can survive that. But yeah, I was pretty happy about getting this. And while the mission keeps rolling, I wanted to continue, just kind of riffing about random stuff. I wanted to talk directly to you guys because honestly, this series has gotten bigger than I really expected when I initially made it, and longer. It's gone on longer than I expected, and I've been thinking a lot about what it means to make content like this. When I started the Scout Only Australian Hunt, I didn't know if anybody would care. It was just something I wanted to try because MBM is fun. I knew that Scout could be fun, and the Scout forces you to play MBM differently, but over time people started watching. I've gotten regular people commenting, sharing their own stories, via the question of the day. People giving me advice, people roasting me, all of it, and it's been the coolest part of doing this. I don't think people realize how much those comments matter when you're making long form content. You're sitting here, you're writing script, you're recording for 40, 50, 60 minutes, you're editing for hours, you record all the gameplay, trying to keep the energy up, trying to stay focused, trying to make something worth watching. And it helps to know that there are people on the other side who actually enjoy it, and it makes the whole process for me a whole lot more fun. And I know I joke around a lot and I talk about the gameplay, I talk about upgrades, I talk about Scout being made of paper, but I really do appreciate everybody who's stuck with this series so far, especially because this challenge, losing all my upgrades every time I die, and the challenge in general, just playing Scout only, it's pretty exhausting. It's fun, but it's exhausting, and having people who follow along with it really make it feel worth doing. So if you're watching this right now, at this point in time, whether you're a long-time viewer or you've just stumbled onto this series and you've watched the bulk of this video, I wanted to say thank you for being here. I hope you're all enjoying the chaos. Hope you're enjoying the mistakes, the close calls, the clutch moments, and everything in between. And if you've got suggestions, ideas, challenges, or just random TF2 stories, I always love reading them. I really want to tailor this series to the people who enjoy watching it more than just, getting new viewers. So again, thank you if you have watched this series so far. This series has been a weird mix of gameplay, commentary, learning, suffering, and scout-based emotional damage. And I'm glad to get to share it to people who actually get it. So for the remainder of this mission, I'm going to keep commentary a little bit lighter, as it's just hard for me to narrate every single moment. And you guys have eyes, you can see what's going on. And if you aren't watching, then, well, you can hear what's going on. You can hear the pop of the soda popper, you can hear the stomp of the giants, and you can kind of gather what's happening, and you'll hear me as I scream when I die. But the main thing I'm focusing on here at this point is just surviving the challenge. Every death, wiping my upgrade, every mistake will set me back at this point in the episode, and I'm basically running on whatever scraps of damage I can afford. Still going to be marking giants, still going to be milking them, still trying to pick up money without getting myself killed, but I'm not going to break down every wave in detail as I have been. This mission does sustain a few deaths, unlike Cataclysm. I do end up dying, and I end up repeating my deaths rather predictably because, as I said, once I do die, there's really no incentive for me to stay alive. There is an incentive because I can kind of get started going again, but I die pretty late into the mission, as short as this mission is. And yeah, it just wasn't worth it for me to try and stay alive very long, and we already had the mission in the bag by that point. But I really liked editing this mission too, because a lot of the gameplay segments are very long. I love the flow of Mannslaughter. It's just got very consistent action going through it. There's not many lulls in the action, and whether you're with a good team or a bad team, there's just always something going on, always something to do. It's probably the best designed Valve mission there is, in addition to being probably the hardest. I don't know if you could call it the hardest, but I probably would. But hopefully when the MVM update does come out, and it seems like it will because of Valve's blog post on the 16th of July this year, that they'll come up with an even harder mission for us, maybe a new expert tour. We already have 3 advanced tours to pick from, so a new expert tour would be awesome to play, and I'm sure the community map makers, which are already very good at making fairly difficult MVM tours, could contribute to a very, very well balanced and very, very fun expert tour. I really can't wait to make content on that. It's a big motivator for me to keep pushing and making content, so that when the MVM update does come out, this is not copium. I'm pretty sure everybody else is pretty sure that this MVM update will come out, whether it is within the next couple months or perhaps a whole another year. We're pretty sure as a community that the update is coming out. That I'll have a track record of making MVM videos already, and stealing some ammo from the soldier there. But I'll have a track record of making videos of MVM, as poor as they may be, as boring as they may be. Maybe they appeal to some of you. They appeal to myself. Like I said, I like making videos that I enjoy. But hopefully when that update does come out, it'll be some fresh new content for me to make, some new Australians to be added, some new loot to earn. Hopefully I can get lucky, get one of those. Keep it, of course, because I'm not a fan of selling that sort of stuff. I've already learned my lesson, as you can tell from the previous question of the day. Not going to be selling any of my well-earned Australians. And maybe, just maybe, it'll come out with some sort of maybe light heavy update. You know, I know the heavy update was never explicitly promised to the community, but it is something that a lot of people kind of just thought was a given, and clearly it wasn't. That has been a very, very, very long time since that has even been in the cards as a possibility. But I'm an avid heavy player myself. I really like heavy and the gameplay loop of him in vanilla TF2 and an MVM as well. But you know, maybe the MVM can come up. MVM update can come out along with maybe a small heavy update, maybe a weapon or two or something to give the guy some love. And we can try that out as well in addition to the new MVM update. But I think that is quite enough speculation and hype. You know, I think we all know as TF2 players that you shouldn't put too much stock in what Valve says. I mean, you can be pretty sure based on their behavior that something is going to happen. Whether or not that will disappoint us is an entirely other issue, but we're here on wave 3. We're just about finished with it. Done pretty well. Our pyro keeps wanting to air blast the bomb back, and he does so successfully this time, causing the giants to have to reroute a very lengthy way before they can bring the bomb back up, giving us plenty of time to take care of everything. And as you can see, because I spoiled it at the beginning of the video and you just saw it not too long ago, I have sustained a death while I was well ramped up into my short soda popper. So I've been relegated to the shortstop, which for now remains unupgraded. I'll have about 1,200 credits or so by the end of the wave to spend on it after the fact. We'll see if we can keep that up, keep this whole charade up. But this is a very hard mission, and especially gets harder towards the end. A lot of big groups of lighter robots, a lot of giants for me to dance around. So it's going to be challenging for me that I can't kill threats very quickly. But we'll just have to see how that goes. Something else you may have noticed that I have not touched on so far in the video is I bought a new microphone just for making these videos. Hopefully you can enjoy the crispy, crunchy, peanut buttery audio quality that I have now procured. I think it's pretty nice. It's pretty fun, and a fun investment into this new hobby I made, which is video making. And hopefully I can make it better for everybody to enjoy by having something that sounds clearer and sounds cooler. And I jump right into a group of heavies and kill myself for some inexplicable reason. Don't know why I did that. I kind of just wanted to pick up the money and get the overheal, but I should have just waited. The money wasn't going to despawn, and the heavies were going to kill me every time, so I relegated myself yet again to another primary that is unupgraded, the scattergun in this instance. And I'm going to quickly run out of primaries to select if I'm not careful. But we're here on wave 4. Very, very substantial wave. A lot of explosives and a lot of high damage projectiles and hit scans that I have to be wary of. We'll see if I can avoid any further deaths. Spoiler alert, I don't avoid any further deaths. I will die pretty much the maximum number of times I can afford to. You know, swapping primaries over and over. This is just another one of those instances where I get kind of careless because I've lost all my upgrades. I really shouldn't, but I just do. You know, Scout can do a lot of work, a lot of important work without dealing damage. Wheezy made a video where he played several tours of Scout without dealing any damage whatsoever. Most of that was on 2 cities, but he did do Gear Grinder as well, and nobody bothered him at all for it. And of course the team will not bother me because I have already done quite a bit of damage at this point in the wave, or in the mission. So I shouldn't, but I do. I'm just impatient like that. We're doing good so far. We have the last pyro taken care of, and we have 8 more giant demo knights to take care of. I say that a lot, don't I? I say take care of. You should do a shot every time I say that. I'm going to avoid saying it any further as to avoid giving you any alcohol poisoning. I, however, do not drink, so I will not be partaking in this drinking game with you, but I will be taking advantage of you in your inebriated state, taking all of your money. I'm going to run your pockets while you're just blackout drunk from how many times I say that. I'm also kind of considering when I do get the Australium on this account, if I do rather, it is not a guarantee, and like I said, I don't want to go probably more than 30 episodes. 30 episodes is already obscene for one series like this, especially considering I'm already having trouble coming up with interesting commentary to do. I'll have to do something before that we reach that point, but I probably don't want to go more than 30 episodes of this without getting an Australian. So if I do, I was considering what I should do with it after the fact. I figure if it's kind of a low tier one, I'll probably give it away, but if it's a really good one, I kind of want to keep it. You know, I know it's kind of lame to be conditional like that, like, or if it's a bad one I'll give it away, if it's a good one I'll keep it, but it's not like I make any money off of these videos, which is not really the point of the videos in the first place. But if I get something really cool, you know, something I haven't gotten on my main account, then I definitely would like to keep it. But if it's something kind of mid, you know, it feels like it'd be a fun opportunity to do a giveaway without much cost to myself, especially because there are so many of you that are returning viewers and watch these videos rather frequently, and I just love to give back to the community in some way. We'll do some sort of giveaway once we do get the Australium, or rather conclude the series. We'll do something nice for the community because, yeah, like I said earlier, I really appreciate everybody who watches the videos, comments on them, likes them, engages with them in any way. It really pronounces to me how much of an effect this has on you as a viewer, and it has a huge effect on me as a creator, which is a weird label for me to apply to myself. I feel kind of strange saying that, but really, what else am I supposed to say? You know, I'm creating. I'm a creator. Just seems kind of self-inflated. But we suffer another death here. Swapping to the backscatter now. Like I said, running out of primaries to select. Die nearly instantly with the backscatter after I put money into it, so I'm like, I guess it's Force of Nature time. I really wanted to avoid using the Force of Nature because I don't want to mess up any teammates and hamper their ability to shoot robots reliably. But this is pretty much the only option I have left without just totally refunding my upgrades, which I said before makes it difficult to see how much I can really contribute, or how much money I can spend. Well, we swapped to the Criticola to help take care of these tanks. We are nearing the end of wave 5 here. We are beyond the halfway point. And luckily the Force of Nature still does quite a lot of damage. So it does have a lower damage stat, but it shoots more pellets in each shot, so it does quite a bit more damage in the scattergun or the soda popper, which is pretty good for MBM. And the knockback jump can come in handy if I were to use it for any longer period of time. Maybe next video I will use the Force of Nature more, even though it can be a bit annoying for teammates to play with, because I haven't used it since the first episode, and it is just a really fun weapon to use, and it looks cool. It's probably the nicest looking weapon, and I have gotten an Australian Force of Nature on my main account, and I just absolutely love that thing. It is the only scattergun I run now. If I did get an Australian scattergun one of these days, I would absolutely equip that over the Force of Nature most of the time, but I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have a good time with the Force of Nature whenever I do use it. But we are very, very close to the end of the mission here. We kill off that tank, we kill the next tank, and we complete the mission. Let's see, did we get an Australium drop this time? We did not. We got a Carbonado flamethrower, and we did 25,000 damage, 11,000 tank damage. So there will be more episodes. And I'd like to thank everybody one more time for watching, for commenting. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, be sure to share. Thank you everybody for everything. I will continue to make this series. I will continue to evolve it. but I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.